It's another one of these AI things. Hello, everyone. It's the non-shit version of the humane AI pin, I'm going to say, which is very generous. I don't have one. I don't have a humane pin. I don't have a Rabbit R1. I really want one. In case you haven't seen this for some reason, it's a special device, basically a kind of like a smartphone, but it has a scroll wheel and only one button. And that's it. And what you do with it is you press the button and then you say things. And that's how you interact with it. You say things like, order me a hamburger with an iced coffee. And it's going to get you a hamburger and an iced coffee. Only that it doesn't do that right now because it's broken and it sucks if you look at reviews of it currently. Which is unsurprising. You can order it now. Apparently it's shipping by June 2024. Which... I mean, that's fairly close. And look at this right there. Powered by Rabbit OS, a personalized operating system through natural language interface. Look at that, Rabbit OS. Keep that in mind. And this does sum up what it is. A pocket companion using a natural language interface. So you basically, you just talk to it. It has a speaker, it has a microphone. It has a touch screen. But you can only use a touchscreen for typing in a terminal mode if you don't want to speak to it loudly. If you're like on the underground or something and it's really fucking loud.
So if I had to redesign this thing, this is what I would do. First, I'd get rid of the scroll wheel completely. It's cute, but it's just not useful enough to me. And then now, probably just move the camera on top of the bezel. There's a little bit of room there. And then maybe add some hardware volume buttons. It is a speech-based device, and you might as well extend the screen because, you know, you got a little bit of room down there. And, oh look, it's a phone.
So keep that clip in mind because look at that. Turns out the Rabbit R1 was just an Android app all along. That is brutal. Since launched last week, the Rabbit R1 AI gadget has inspired a lot of questions, starting with why isn't this just an app? I don't know. Why is it not just an app? Over at Android Authority, another name that I can't say, Mishaal Rahman, managed to download Rabbit's launcher APK on a Google Pixel 6a. Oh, brother, what is this? With a little tweaking, he was able to run the app as if it were on Rabbit's own device. Using the volume up key in place of the R1's single hardware button, he was able to set up an account and start asking questions just as if he was using the $199 R1.
How tall is the tallest building in the world?
Let me see what I can find. The height of the tallest building in the world is 2,717 feet, which is the height of the Burj Khalifa in Dubai, United Arab Emirates.
And then Shadow the Hedgehog, apparently. Rahman points out the app probably doesn't offer all of the same functionality as the R1. In his words, the Rabbit R1's launcher app is intended to be pre-installed in the firmware and be granted several privileged system-level permissions, only some of which we were able to grant. So some of the functions will likely fail if we tried. But the fact that the software runs on a mid-range phone from almost 2 years ago suggests that it has more in common with a plain old Android app than not. Which is true. Like, they have their own reasons for making this more than an app. And then also, the fact that this is probably just an Android device anyways also makes sense. Because if you use the parts of an Android phone, essentially, with a scroll wheel added to it, you wouldn't necessarily want to make up your own special operating system. Android is an open source system. Like, it has the Android open source project exists. Just using that as a base system for your mobile device is a very logical solution because you don't need to make up your own thing. You don't need to make your own Linux-based OS or some other real-time operating system or whatever other thing. There's other options floating around, yes. But Android is like one of the most common operating systems ever. Everyone knows how to code for Android, at least compared to if they made some random new shit up. Yeah, the founder from Rabbit, Jesse Liu. Oh my god. People need to have just German names. I know how to pronounce German names. What is wrong with all of these names? I'm sorry. Disagrees with this characterization. He gave a lengthy statement to The Verge that we've partially quoted below. RabbitOS is not an Android app. RabbitOS and the large action model run on the cloud with a very bespoke AOSP and lower level firmware modifications, which, I mean, that's true. I don't think anyone is questioning that. Therefore, local APK without the proper OS and cloud endpoints won't be able to access our service. Clearly, this has been proven wrong because literally you can just do this yourself. Vision doesn't work for apparently, for example.
What do we see here?
It makes sense. It works differently. Spotify works weirdly.
Can you play some dance music on Spotify?
On it, I'll get the music going for you.
They will definitely have ways to check if you are running this on a Rabbit or not. So I'm not going to be surprised if they're going to limit this. I don't really see a problem here personally. The R1 isn't alone. Humane's AI pin appears to run a version of Android's open source software too, which is, once again, not surprising because it's the most common shit ever. But it's the R1 in the hot seat right now because, yeah, at least like the Humane pin doesn't have just a screen. It has to work differently just because it's not a smartphone form factor. But this kind of basically is. I don't really see the problem there. Like, yeah, maybe they could have made it an app. I think they have justifications why it should be its own operating system. And maybe the term RabbitOS doesn't just refer to the system itself that's running on this, but also their whole cloud infrastructure. Maybe they just mean RabbitOS in that way. We have a lot of things that are called operating systems now, even though they are not operating systems. It kind of is annoying, but yeah. This statement seems a bit crap. This statement seems a little bit shitty. If they can actually like write down what their reasoning is behind this. I don't know if they have. Let's see. Anyone who builds an app must build their app to work on a smartphone, which means they have to make certain decisions and certain compromises to make sure the app experience adapts to the smartphone form factor and current app-based systems. But the smartphone form factor and app-based systems have reached a point where innovation can only be iterative. Well, that's not fully true because, like, folding phones exist. You're going to have, like, phones that roll up soon as well. It's easy to find all the components you need to build both nowadays. So if everyone can do it, then we need to look bigger. I mean, I guess, but, like, you've just taken those same components and added a scroll wheel and like a really epic looking design. We're intentionally taking a different approach because we need to rethink the end-to-end user experience, including both software and hardware, so our users can benefit most from our LAM, a new generation of technology, apparently. We want to bring back hardware features that are tactile, intuitive, and useful. I like tactile things. Touchscreen is fine, but also physical buttons are not a bad thing, or the scroll wheel. Yeah, that doesn't really tell you much, does it? But this is from 2 months ago, so maybe we'll get like a new post from them about this. I hope that they can explain themselves. By the way, I have Twitter as well, at Silas on Linux. I was banned. I was banned from Twitter, but now I'm unbanned and I'm turning this into more of a tech space instead of just random stuff. Look, you can see me complain about, wow, Elon Musk really got rid of the bots. I see with 3 bots right there. If you follow me on X, you're going to get updates on tech shit really quickly because I just respond to everything. I like tech. Or you can just subscribe to this channel as well, but I think you should do both. I'm not technical enough to know if this is like an actual if there's fully actual reasons behind it. I think there are. The other thing is, this is kind of a shit product right now. People are unhappy with it. People are unhappy. It can do cool things. But I think the reason why this has been released now already is because we have an Apple event coming up, like next week. And also there's a Google event coming up very soon as well. So literally, this is going to be probably the only time where they can actually sell these things. Same with the Humane AI pin. Because if Apple or Google come out with Google Assistant and Siri doing these things, it's like, yeah, you will not have a job if you work at Rabbit if you don't sell enough. Before Apple comes out and says, oh yeah, you can just do everything with Siri. We've been secretly working on a large action model ourselves. And yeah, you can just ask Siri, get me an anchovy pizza for lunch today, and it will just schedule some task, and then when lunchtime comes, it will order a pizza so it arrives at your lunch break already because it has all of your information, because it's literally your iPhone, it's Siri. It's going to have everything that you put into it, which this device doesn't yet, so it can't really do many things at this point. I still want one. I think I'm actually going to buy one. Like, I'm insane. I'm crazy. I like stupid shit. And this is $200, which is, yeah, it's expensive, but like not really compared to the 700 whatever the Humane AI pin costs. I bought an Intel Arc GPU, which mostly sucked at launch, but that was really cool in the end. I bought that because I want competition and it's cool hardware. Competition in the GPU space. I have a folding phone, which is really cool, but most apps are fucking garbage on it, but it's still really cool. I like early adopting things. Knowing it's not going to be a good experience because it's new. It's not done yet. And this is like probably beyond not done yet. This is like, seems like it's in the stage of barely working. We'll see what happens. You should click like now. Smash the like button if you think this is a hilarious situation. Yeah, it's just an Android app all along. That's ridiculous.